Bird Stitcher. Today is Saturday the 7th of November and I'm here to do an October update on my stitching. Welcome if you've never been to my channel before, welcome back if you have. It's great to have you again. This is a channel about cross stitch. I'm also going to talk about books today because my reading bug came back, which is excellent. I have a number of finishes to show you. You may remember in my last few episodes I've just been trying to get through as many finishes as I can this year, and I think I've probably done as much as I can, as many finishes as I can this year. I don't think I'll be able to finish anymore. My last one that I did was Heartstring Samplery, and it's called Stitch or Die Cushion, Pin Cushion. This was a gift to me from my friend Tash, the Star Cross Stitcher. I will link her below. She hasn't made a video for a while, but she still has a few videos on her channel. So it's that one, and here's where it was the last time you saw it. And here it is now. So that was a lot of fun to do. It was really quite quick. I don't know why it took me so long to finish it. So that's done, and of course the plan is to turn it into a pin cushion, so I'll have to look into that a little bit later on. Next I have, this is an old finish that I did at the beginning of the year. It's Old Chocolate Shop. I think it's by Little House Needleworks. I'll put the correct name below. And I asked Taryn from Teaser Handmaids to make this into a project bag for me. So I stitched this and she made the project bag for me. So beautiful fabric, beautiful, beautiful sewing. And that's the inside, fully lined. So if you are in Australia and you need things finished with a sewing machine and you're not sure what to do, like I'm not sure what to do, Teaser Handmaids has really good service and she does a great job. I will put a link down to her details below. I also finished my stocking Faithful Friends by Heaven and Earth Designs. I was going to do this myself, and I had a YouTube video I was referring to, but the years have dragged on since I finished, well, the months have dragged on since I finished this, and the stocking was no closer to being done. And finally my friend Jan said to me, how's that stocking going? And I said, I think I'm just going to send it to Taryn. And I did, and Taryn finished it very, very well. I would not have been able to get it looking like this. So Taryn, thank you so much. My daughter Heidi is absolutely thrilled with it. She has also been asking, Mum, how is that that stocking going? So I owed it to her to get it done. So yeah, thanks Taryn, I love it. It's fantastic sewing. And that's it. I also took Santa's Village to the framers and had it framed. While I was there, I also took Gingerbread Village to be framed, and Gingerbread Village, I didn't realize, although it's sort of in the same vein as this one, it's much, much smaller. It's a fraction of the size of this, but I asked them to finish it for me as well, the same framer, and they did, and I brought it home, and unfortunately it was a bit crooked, and it was crooked enough to bother me. So I returned it and I've asked them to redo it, and they agreed that it was crooked, so they're going to redo it for me. But this is Santa's Village and it's heavy, so I won't hold it up much longer. But it's by Country Cottage Needleworks. It is a series of 12 different houses in Santa's Village. So that's that one, and this took me quite a few years to do. I finished it a few months ago, and it's done. Last time I was on FlossTube, I showed you Enchanted Mermaid by Mirabilia, and this is what it looks like finished. And this is what it looked like the last time you saw it. And here it is now. I finished the beading. I think last time you saw it, I was in the middle of beading, and I had her framed, and I'm thrilled the way she turned out. She's beautiful. This is a very blingy mermaid. She has a lot of treasures and beads. The fabric is also sparkly. I don't know if you can tell on camera. And she's done. I started this one in June 2018 and had her finished last Friday, so the end of October. So just a little over 2 years to stitch and have that fully framed. So I'm thrilled with her. So that's all the finishes I have to show you. I am now going to go through my whips. I've got a few. Because I've kind of finished the ones I wanted to finish, I think I'm just going to be working on what I feel like from now on. So I'll just go through them as they appear in my pile. These are in no particular order. This has been a whip for a while. It's called The 6 Spires of Henry VIII by the Primitive Hair. And here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. And here it is now. It is stitched on 30 count Salem linen by the Primitive Hair, and this linen was purposely dyed for this chart by Isabella, I think her name is, the owner of the Primitive Hair. And I think the last time you saw this, I had Catherine of Aragon finished here, and I had the centre finished. So I've now done Anne Boleyn and Jane Seymour. And on the chart, under Anne Boleyn, it says executed. I don't know if you can see that. I've changed it to say beheaded. My husband doesn't like that. He wanted me to leave it as executed. He said beheaded is so morbid and so gruesome and gory. But that is what happened. That's the whole point. I guess that's how Henry VIII dealt with his troublesome wives. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way this is turning out. And I think for next year, I'm going to aim to finish this. It won't be finished this year, but I will try for next year. But who knows what's going to happen next year, right? This year was certainly a big surprise in many ways, so who knows what next year will turn out to be, and I'll put that away later. Okay, I also got my full coverage bug back. I think I mentioned last time I just wasn't feeling the full coverage designs, but I felt like going back to them. And the first one I worked on was Juliet by Tilton Crafts. It's artwork by Takaki, and here's what it will look like when it's finished. And here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. And here it is now. This bit of fabric here is just because I measured wrong, and I needed a bit of fabric to hold it into my Q-snap so that I could stitch on this side here. And I worked on this page here. It's page 10. It's the end of the second row of pages. And the goal for this year was to finish that row, and I've done that now. So this was very full of confetti, and I've now finished it. So very happy with that. I think there's about 3 or 4 more rows to go on this one. So a great plan would be to have at least a row done every year. We'll see how we go. It hasn't happened so far, but it'll be nice if I could keep that up. This is another bag that was made by Teaser Handmaids. I got it at a retreat. I think I've showed you it before. But Juliet lives in here now. Because I had all these bags and they were sitting there and they weren't being used, and I wanted to use them because that's why I bought them. Okay, another one is, this is called Flowers of the Holy Night by Glendon Place, and it's stitched using Dinky Dye silks, and I bought all the cord for Dinky Dye silks. It will also eventually have a number of beads in it, but I don't have those yet. And I'm nowhere near up to that yet. So the last time you saw it, here's where it was. And here it is now. So I think the last time you saw it was up to there, and I just worked on this leaf. This is best worked on a scroll frame, I believe. I've heard that the red silk in this can run, and if you do it on a Q-snap, it does sort of combine with the other colors and starts to run a bit, so it's best to put it on a Q-snap, and sorry, on a scroll frame, not a Q-snap. And I'm avoiding doing the red until I have scroll frames, but they're very, very big, and my birthday's coming up, and my brother asked me what I wanted, and I said, could you get me smaller scroll frames from Ermonic? And I think that's what he's going to get me. So once I have those, I will get back to work on this. I didn't leave much room up here, so I think I'm going to need to sew a bit more fabric up to the top so that I can put it in that scroll frame, because at the moment it just falls straight out again. If I try to use just what I have here, it just falls out again. So, but anyway, that's where that is. I don't think I've pulled this out since last year, so it needs a bit of attention. And I think my goal was to finish the first 2 pages on that, and I'm nowhere near that. This is also in a Taryn bag. It's one that was gifted to me by Teresa Craig from TLC Stitching. I will link all these people that I'm mentioning below if they have a YouTube channel. I also pulled out my chatelaine Alpine Seasons Gardens, and this is what it will look like when it's finished. And here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. And here it is now. The goal this year was to finish that center part, which is basically the cabin. I still need to do a lot of back stitching in the cabin itself to make it stand out more. And what I've started on now is this section here, and this is all 1/1. The rest of it is 2/2, but the bird, sorry, that gull there is also 1/1. So I'm working on this bit now. And this is on Spice Blend Fern Gully Casual Linen 28 count. It is from Stitches on Spice. They were an Australian dyer who are no longer operating, unfortunately. But I love that. It's looking good. I don't always have the will to work on it, but I really would like to meet that goal, so maybe I'll go back to it this month. I also pulled out Andromeda by Mirabilia, and here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. And that's where she is now. This is on 32 count Summer Sky, and it's on even weave. I think it's Joberlin, and I bought it from 123 Stitch. I have a lot of this Summer Sky. It's a light blue, cloudy kind of looking fabric. It's perfect for mermaids and just having a nice sky coloured background. So that's where Andromeda is there. She is quite small for a Mirabilia. This is only a fat eighth, sorry. So she's on a very small piece of fabric, and she's gonna fit on there really well. So it's not gonna be too big for this fabric. So that's that one. I have the bead pack for her as well, so it's all in there. But I always do the beading last of all. And last but not least, and this is what I've been working on the last week or so, and that is Cinderella on the Stairs. It's a mini by Heaven and Earth Designs, and it will look like this when it's finished. And here's what it looked like the last time you saw it. And here's where it is now. And I've been working on this page here. This is on 18 count, and it's 2/1 full crosses. I normally like to work on, I usually do my full coverage pieces 1/1 on 25 count, but this is I can't remember why I started on 18 count with this one, but it's turning out okay. And I think it's probably, I wouldn't have thought of this at the time, but I think it probably worked out for the best, because all this, you probably can't see it, but it's all in that DMC 3865, which is basically a winter white, I think it's called, and it's very hard to see on white fabric. So I think on 25 count it would have beaten me, but on 18 count it's doable. It's not much fun, but it's doable. And I would love to go into the new year having this page finished. There's a page and a half at the end here that I'm trying to finish off. The white comes up to about there. The rest of that needs to be stitched from there down. So I think this has about 3,000 stitches in it since you last saw it. So a lot to go, a lot of that white to go. But once I finish this page, I don't think there's much white left. I think that'll be it. So it'll be great to have that done and to go into 2021 without having to worry about all that white. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having this one done too. There's only 1.5 more rows to go. The bottom pages are only half pages. So there's only one more row and then half a row to go of pages. And it'll be nice to have another row done next year. We'll see. Here I am talking about goals for next year. I don't know how many goals I'm meeting this year. We'll see. But this is in another Teaser handmade bag. This is the first one I bought from Taryn. Yeah, there. She does a great job. She's fantastic. So that's that. Speaking of Taryn's bags, while she had my stocking, I asked her if she had any bags made up, and this one came up. She showed me this, and I love ancient Egyptian things. I've read a lot of books about ancient Egypt. I don't do so as much anymore, but I do love the history of it all. And she had this bag, and I asked her for it, so I bought that one as well. And inside it's just a plain blue fabric and a blue zipper to match. And once again, the sewing is perfect. It's faultless. It's beautiful. So I need to find a project to go in that. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm going to take a little break just to bring the haul closer to me, because I didn't have that much haul, but it's kind of being pushed to the back, and I'll be back in a sec. I looked on Sew It All Australia. They sell fabric, and I think it's printed fabric because the back is white, but they print one side, and this is a mottled blue. It's a 28 count even weave, so it'll be perfect for a Mirabilia mermaid, or maybe even my Bella Filipina mermaid. We will see. So that was on, I think that was on special. And this is also a 28 count Joberlin. I bought from them as well. And this is called, sorry, that blue one was called Ocean. And this one is called, I don't know what I've done with the packet, but I will write it. Oh, here it is, sorry. 28 count even weave, brown cloud. So that's it there. And that's the back. So you can tell it's only printed on one side. So, but it's still great fabric, beautiful colors. Now, oh, and I also, JK's Cross Stitching Supplies on Facebook. She is, Janette, who's the owner, is an Australian business owner, and she sells to Australia and New Zealand only. I don't think she sells to other places, but she is having a sale on her FlossTube page, on her Facebook page, and she was selling this chart with these dinky dye threads, and this is called Terra Australis. Dinky dyes originated from Australia. I believe they're in US ownership now. I don't know if I'm going to stitch this chart. To be honest, I bought it for the silks, and it was a really good price just for the silks. So they all came together, but yeah, I think my main motivation was the silks. So there's one Noosa, and then there's two of this one, and it's called Frio, number 124. So that's it for haul. I didn't go crazy. I don't have anything on the way or anything. I managed to read 5 books, and I'm on my 6th this month. The first 2 were by Janette Oak, and they're called When Calls the Heart and When Comes the Spring. When Calls the Heart is a Netflix series. This book was, I guess, what the Netflix series was based on. They're nothing alike. They're alike, but the only kind of overlap is the main character. She's a teacher. Her name is Elizabeth, and that's in both the book and the TV series, but that's about where the similarities end. She's in Canada, and she marries a Mountie, but other than that, even the Mountie's name is different. So there's quite a few in the series. I think there's at least 2 or 3 more, but after the first 2, I think I'd had enough. It was just kind of the same slow burn, and it was kind of enough for me. They were good. I don't think I'll be reading any more of the series though. The next one that I read was She Was the Quiet One by Michele Campbell, and I've returned it to the library already, so I don't have it with me. This one was about young twin girls, completely opposite, and after their parents die, they are sent to live at a boarding school, a wealthy boarding school, because their grandmother is quite wealthy, and one of them ends up dying, and the main suspect is the other twin. So that one was quite a page turner as well. I also reread Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've read that before, but I wanted to read it again because, again, Netflix was releasing a movie, and I've seen that movie and it's quite good. I've also seen the Hitchcock version. That's excellent. I wouldn't call the Netflix version as good, but it's still entertaining, and I enjoyed the book again very much because it was quite a long time ago since I'd read it. The last one I finished reading was Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh. That's it there. And this is about a young lady who has just had her first baby, and it starts on the day of the first anniversary of her mother's passing, and she believes that her mother passed away in a suicide, and her father had committed the same act of suicide and in the same place in exactly the same way a few months before her mother had. On the first anniversary of her mother's passing, she receives a card in the mail, and on it says happy anniversary, and inside are the words suicide, ? Think again. And that sets off a police investigation and what really happened to her parents. Were they both killed? Did they both commit suicide? And so the book kind of delves into that, and it's quite good. I enjoyed it. It was a page turner. Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh. And last but not least, I'm reading The Midnight Library by Haig, and this one is about a young lady who has reached rock bottom. Basically, she started off with a lot of promise. She's quite clever and very, very knowledgeable, but she hasn't really gone far in her life, and she decides to end it all. So if that's a trigger for you, don't read the last two books that I've mentioned, because unfortunately they both deal with suicide. Anyway, this one, she tries to end her life, but instead of dying, she ends up in a library called the Midnight Library, and she finds in there her old librarian, a teacher at her old school, the librarian, and the librarian explains to her that she can look through her regrets. There's a book of regrets in this library, and they're all her regrets, and she can go through and live a life where that regret never happened. So for example, she gave up being in a band, and she could choose a book where she didn't give up being in a band. She could continue to stay in that band. So what she does is she tries to find the best life that she can be living, and she learns a lot of lessons along the way. I haven't finished this book yet. I've got about 100 pages left, so hopefully I'll finish that soon. And that's basically what this book does, is delves into the different possibilities of how we can live our life. It's based on the premise that our lives are a billion different choices, and every choice we make sends us in different directions. And if we could choose different directions, how would our lives have turned out? And so by picking books off the shelf, she looks into these lives. As soon as she realizes she's not satisfied in that life that she's picked up to read or to live, she comes back into the Midnight Library. And so she's, I guess, on a quest to find the best life that she can be living. So it's quite different to anything I've ever read, but I do recommend it. It's kept me quite interested, and it's called The Midnight Library by Haig. And that's it. As far as plans go, I'm not really making any plans. Immediate plans, I think I'll try to finish Cinderella on the Stairs. I'll not finish it, but I'll try to finish that top row of pages. It'll be really nice to just go into 2021 without all that waiting to be stitched. And then I think I'll probably pick up my Chatelaine Alpine Seasons Gardens again and try to finish that middle section. I probably won't finish it, but I'll try and do as much as I can. So I don't have any plans other than that at this stage. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. Ever since I finished all those projects that I kind of flagged to finish, I don't really feel like doing that anymore. I don't really feel like working on one project until it's done anymore. So I guess I got that out of my system. So a lot of it has changed since last month. It's only been, I think it's been a couple of days over a month, so it hasn't really been that much longer. But hey, I'm in a different place, I guess. Last month, I rewatched my video because it feels like it's been a lot longer than a month, actually. I think this month's just been a long month. Anyway, I rewatched it and I was saying how I didn't feel like doing full coverage pieces. I didn't feel like picking up new projects and putting them down. And that's exactly what I've been doing this month. So who knows what I'll be in the mood for in the next few weeks. I hope everyone is well and I hope everyone is safe. Thank you for stopping by and watching my video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them below. And I hope to see you again in December. Take care. Bye, everyone.